So the idea of four-wheel drive New Zealand kind of came about later on after we got into four-wheel driving and travelling. Joanna and I bought a 1989 BJ 74 Series Land Cruiser and started fitting that out to do a 2-month trip around the South Island of New Zealand.
I don't think it really had a true beginning, honestly. It started out with Lars just really wanting a truck, and every time he came home from work, he talked about having a truck and exploring New Zealand and camping. So I actually just got tired of listening to him complain about not having a truck. So I went online. I knew that he wanted a Land Cruiser, and I found 4 or 5 on Trade Me and sent him the links while he was at work, and I said, pick one and I will have it at the house when you get home. And we did, and that's how we got the first Land Cruiser. It shipped up from Christchurch, I believe.
I was working in Australia at the time, so I saw the whole touring industry and overlanding industry happening over there. And coming back to New Zealand and trying to find a lot of the products and a lot of information about where to go, and I just felt there was a real lack of information out there specific to New Zealand. So we started kitting out our truck anyway with what we could find, and left on our trip to the South Island. Did a lot of filming, absolutely fell in love with travelling around the country and the whole camping lifestyle of the things.
It was a learning experience, definitely. Watch more YouTube videos before you travel the first time, because we were definitely short of a few things, and one being a full-size shovel. Don't ever go four-wheel driving without a full-size shovel. You can burying a tire to pull yourself out of the sand with a miniature shovel is, let's just say, challenging.
Careful, watch your wind straps all tangled up.
Yes! But it wasn't until we got back home where we started writing a bit of a blog and started filming some of our trips that we did with a local four-wheel drive club. So we're in Takahui today, and we're meeting up with the Kaitaia Four-Wheel Drive Club. They've invited us back after meeting them over the Easter weekend trip. So they want to take us over the Takahui saddle over to Broadwood, and they've asked if we can give them a bit of a hand in clearing up the track a bit. So we've got the chainsaw on the back, just our way of kind of giving back to four-wheel drive clubs. We get to enjoy so many tracks around New Zealand, and we think it's really important that we help out to maintain some of these tracks as well. And that's where the YouTube channel started taking a bit of traction. I remember when we reached our first 100 subscribers, and I was stoked that people were enjoying the content and watching it. And it wasn't long until it kind of grew to a point where a couple of brands jumped on board. Maxxis Tyres were the first ones to say yes and to get on board. And then Red Arc Electronics pretty shortly after that, followed by Union Car Spares, and along with that ARB. So it kind of grew from there, and the truck evolved with those changes. We kind of learnt what products worked, what didn't work, what was okay, but it's a good entry, but not for long-term kind of traveling.
So I'm eyeing up that box wing over there, because even though this is pretty nice while I'm cooking, we've got our oven and it's warm, it's still not quite as dry as it looks like it is over there.
It's definitely been a really big learning curve, and also the filming side of things as well. So that storytelling and creating some interesting content that people want to watch is an incredible amount of work behind the scenes. What are you doing, Joanna?
I am putting my gloves back on because it's freezing.
With late nights of editing, planning trips, camera equipment, running all that, as well as running the the vehicle and planning the campsite.
What are you doing?
Dumping all the footage from yesterday.
Why didn't you do it last night?
Because you guys convinced me not to and I listened.
And then what'd you do?
Sat by the fire and had a drink instead. Didn't sleep well.
That doesn't sound so bad.
So it's been a fun road to where we've come now. By the point where our last Land Cruiser was when the transmission failed, it was pretty much set up for two-person touring right around New Zealand.
So the old Land Cruiser, as you know, the transmission went out for the second time, and we decided that with our new family, we now have a 9-month-old, that the two-door was a little bit too small, so doing the repairs on that for us didn't make a whole lot of sense. So sadly, we had to let her go, but we definitely wanted a new vehicle, and it needed to be 4 doors. And Lars kept looking at the Prados, and I kept looking at the Prados, and it just wasn't the same. I couldn't give up the old car. The old truck, like, it's just an amazing vehicle, and it's one of the best out there for 4-wheel driving. And honestly, like, I just love the way it looks. And so I talked him out of buying the Prado and into buying the more expensive car. Said no wife ever, but that was what I said.
So we're really looking forward to seeing if we can pass on some of the knowledge that we've gained over the last few years with setting up vehicles and how to set up a vehicle properly the first time. It makes a huge difference when you're on the road for long periods of time. So I'm really excited to be back into a 70 series Land Cruiser. It's kind of, I always say to people, if I won lotto, I'd probably buy that car brand new. It really doesn't get much better. It's got solid axles, front and rear, diff locks, front and rear. That 4.5 litre diesel V8 is just a dream to drive on the road. So it's everything I wanted in a Land Cruiser, but it's everything that reminds us of the old one. So that's enough of me rambling about it. Let's show you a little bit of what we are, what we've got, and where we're going. So here it is. It's 2008 76 series Land Cruiser with a 4.5 litre V8 turbo diesel. Pretty basic as they come out of the box. It's got factory lockers front and rear, solid axles, so it really is one of the last real 4-wheel drives or off-road vehicles. It's got central locking, electric windows, and air conditioning, and that's about it. So let me show you a little bit more about it. So here it is, the big powerhouse, the nice V8. I've wanted one of these engines for a long time. Such a pleasure to drive on the road. You can finally overtake people. It's pretty much stock at the moment. There are going to be a few changes happening. We're putting in a second battery just to power the accessories. Want to be able to parallel it when we are winching. There's also going to be some diff breathers, going to upgrade the snorkel, potentially down the road a bit of a chip and tune, get a little bit more horsepower out of it. But as it stands at the moment, there's not much happening under here. So up front, it came with an ARB Deluxe bull bar, and I'm not quite convinced about the colour quite yet. We might even switch that out for a big tube bar. Definitely going to upgrade the spotlights to some LEDs. I've got a worn winch to go on the bar and some different aerials to put on the front. So there's going to be a lot of changes happening on the front of the truck. So this is not actually a snorkel. As you can see, this split here and the way it joins into the airbox can really only be classed as a raised air intake. So if we want to do any deeper water crossings, we're definitely going to have to change this. So one of the first things to really change, we're going to chuck a set of Maxxis razors on there, go back up to 33s. We've kind of found that's an ideal size for when you're doing the off-road kind of touring. The truck's sitting on a set of Old Man Emu suspension. We're going to have a look at the spring rates just to make sure we can cope with all the weight. So it's going to sit a little bit higher and improve that ride comfort as well. The rear of the truck. So the back of the car is where a lot of the magic's going to happen. That's where you live out of, kind of the whole camp life happens out of the back of the car. Starting with the rear wheel, that's going to have to come off the door. So we know from our last vehicle that having that on the rear door over long corrugated roads just wears out the hinges. The squeaking becomes kind of unbearable. So put a rear bar in there. Not sure if we're going to run dual spares yet, or if we're going to run jerrycans, or we're going to have a storage box or something. It's still undecided. I'll show you what's happening in the back of the truck at the moment. So we've already got a set of drawers in there. There's a slide out panel there, normally for a fridge. I quite like having that as a bit of a work platform. So we might put a fridge light on this side. But traveling with a young child and a dog sometimes, we're going to have to be very smart of how we pack the car so everything has its place. So we're definitely going to put a cargo barrier in, probably with a centre division so we can keep two sides free in the back, and then a parcel shelf at the top for tripods and lighting stands and things like that. So good sized drawers, one side's going to have tools, bit of recovery gear, kind of general truck maintenance stuff, and the other side will be dry stores. Obviously fridge sitting on there. You've got these wings, so you've got plenty of storage underneath the wings. The Red Arc BMS 30 is going in the back with a Revolution battery, so we've got to find a good space to set that all up. I've been eyeing up the gull wings for each side as well. Truck's going to open up with this. A lot going to be going on in the back. It's still in the planning and the process, but really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Up on the roof, we've got a Rhino Rack Pioneer platform to go up on the roof, and a rooftop tent to go up on there as well. So our bedding and everything's going to be out of the car and being able to store it in the roof, which is massive for us. Previously sleeping in swags, we've had all our sleeping bags, everything inside the car, which has taken up a lot of room. So that's the back of the truck, a lot going on. We'll move forward. And lastly, the interior. As you can see, it's still got the original Land Cruiser dash, and it's something that we kind of looked for and tried to find again. We wanted to keep it looking similar to what we used to have. It's got air conditioning, which was a bit of a must for us, but apart from that, we need to upgrade a lot of the little creature comforts, extra storage, so we want to put a roof console in, center console, because the Land Cruisers don't come out with any cup holders, so we definitely need something like that for our water bottles. We'll be replacing the radio with our GME XRS Connect. We've got the HEMA HX1 on the dash, and you'll see a few other changes happening in here. So that's a brief look into our new 76. Follow us over the next few months as we take this and turn it into a full-blown touring rig. Pretty keen to hear what you guys have to say about it, so comment down below, like and subscribe. Really looking forward to sharing our adventures with you.